All right, welcome into another edition of the O Show with Orestes Destrade.
Love those R's.
We have got a special show planned for you guys today, and it's all about Japan.
The land of the rising sun.
The land of the rising sun. I love that.
It is, man.
You spent many moons in Land of the Rising Sun.
I mean, listen, off and on for the last 36 years. First got there in 1989. So
wow.
So spent last year there with the team as a special advisor. In fact, our guest today helped me and represented me to land that position back with my old team. Though I've always been involved with the Seibu Lions. I'm wearing proudly my Seibu Lions retro 90s
love that
jersey. And and Japan has been not only super impactful to me and my life and my family, as I told you before, that I live parts of three cultures. I'm Cuban born, U.S. raised, Japanese influence. So all three have made an impact on me, and they've also made an impact, JP, on Major League Baseball,
big time.
Big time. Looking forward to this guest and someone that's been involved in the last 25, 30 years of all things Japan and sports marketing.
All right, I am your host, JP Peterson. And we will recognize our sponsors right off the top. Texas Roadhouse at Wesley Chapel, a great steak place. They got chicken and seafood and everything. Great place to watch games. We'll talk more about that in just a little bit. KingmakersTampa.com, Murphy Auto Group, specifically Genesis of Tampa. We thank their sponsors. We'll tell you more about them later on. But first, we want to bring in our guest for the day. He is William Brooks. He is an expert in Japanese sports marketing and the founder and executive director of the JRFPA, the Japanese Retired and Foreign Players Association. William, welcome to the Big O Show. How are you?
Very good, JP-san. How are you doing today?
I love my new name.
I like it. It's so fitting.
I just wish I could speak Japanese. You guys sound so cool when you speak Japanese.
Before the end of having William here, we'll teach you a couple of three words. In fact, one simple one right away. You know that it's easy to say good morning in Japanese for everybody out there. It's Ohayo gozaimasu, but you can also just shorten it down and say like morning. It's Ohio.
Ohio? Like the state?
Like the state.
So, really?
There you go.
I could do that.
You can say Ohio Williamson.
Ohio Williamson.
How you doing, buddy? I know you're in O-Town in Orlando. You travail back and forth between Orlando and Tokyo and all of Japan, and not to mention all of the United States, doing a lot of type of marketing business that you do. Welcome aboard, and we're thankful for you to come on for a few minutes and talk all things Japan and MLB.
Well, I appreciate the invite, and it's a pleasure to be with you both, and I look forward to it.
Japanese players have made such an enormous impact, never more than this World Series, right? With Shohei and Sasaki Yamamoto. I mean, and obviously we're doing a show in Tampa Bay, and Big O, a longtime Tampa Bay Rays employee and broadcaster. So we want to do it with a little eye towards this new ownership group, maybe taking a little bit more advantage of the Japanese market in terms of revenue, because, gosh, we talk about that a lot with the Rays, and they're damn good players. So right. Well, I think we've had Aki,
Iwamura. We've had
Matsui, Nomo.
We had actually two legendary players in Nomo and Matsui in the tail end of their careers. Iwamura in the middle of his greatness, and obviously played a huge part in the team going to the World Series 2008. And then Tsugo, who did not really fare well. He
did not,
and should have, but he got caught in the mix of signing at the beginning of 2020, and then a shortened season that kind of crushed him because he didn't get a chance to really, acclimate to the major league pitching. Which, as a hitter, I can tell you from first experience that it's tougher on a hitter to come in and not know any of the pitchers. I think he struggled there. Then 2021 struggled more, and that was the end of the Tsugo experiment. But that's not to say that the Japanese market hasn't had so many greats. William, right off the bat, I mean, let's go off, to give the viewers and our listeners a little bit of history going back literally 30 years, because this is the the 30th year anniversary, if you will, in 2025, when the great Hideo Nomo came over in 1995, and the shock heard around the world of Japan. Give us your take of what transpired with that, and how shocked were the Japanese fans.
Well, I was over there actually when Nomo, the whole fervor of him coming over to the States, was kind of going on. And I was actually my first year of college, and it was amazing. I remember people, or the Yomiuri newspaper group, throwing out and giving away free newspapers with Nomo's picture on it, often as they do in the Ginza when there's big world events that happen. This certainly was a transformational event for not only Japanese culture but baseball in general. It was a huge moment. I actually still have that that newspaper piece, and it's something, memorabilia that I keep very dear to my heart. But it kind of really did open the door to everything that's transpired over the last 10 years, and I kind of see it more of. I don't look at it so much from baseball, as I'm not a baseball savant or a baseball player. But I look at more from a cultural aspect, and how diplomatically baseball has helped create a whole new trajectory for not only Japanese baseball but Japanese culture. So it was a cultural defining moment, in my opinion.
Well, and I had a question with reference to that, because you knowing how complicated it is in Japan as far as success and failure, and the dramatics to that. In one sense, it was like their greatest pitcher at the time, bar none. He was definitely the standout pitcher in Japan. Trust me, I faced him, had great battles with him. What do you think was the initial mindset of the Japanese fans? Was there a fear that he would fail, and it would have egg on the face of the future of that transfer and exodus even ever happening?
I don't think it was fear. I think it was pride. I think that, obviously the Japanese are very proud people, and I think this was kind of the catalyst. It kind of opened it. There's the coming out party. As you know, Japanese are typically, and not so much nowadays, but back then, very introverted. And I think this was something that, baseball was always kind of an unknown thing in the land of the rising sun, so to speak. And Nomo coming out, and the guy was great. I mean, you faced him, Ralph faced him, Boomer faced him, anyone in the Pacific League at the time faced him. And him coming out, it was something for the Japanese to be proud of.
I will say one quick story that was interesting, because indirectly I helped Nomo leave Japan. I didn't know it and didn't find out about it until many, many, many years later. His agent at the time, Don Nomura, who was a very, very dear friend of mine, and also of Williams, I ran into him probably about 10 or 15 years ago. I don't know, I remember exactly when. I want to say it was at the Washington winter meetings, and it was always nice. I would run into Don all the time, and he comes to me and he takes me aside, and we started talking about Nomo. And I said, man, what a great story that was. He goes, hey, by the way, do you know that you influenced that signing? And I said, how? And what had happened was in 92, after 4 years in Japan, 3 championships, 3 home run titles and RBI titles, MVPs, et cetera, I did a big thing, which was I decided to come back to the major leagues,
right,
only to play for my hometown team, the Florida Marlins. In order to do that, he explained to me, I didn't even pay attention at the time, I had to sign a release that basically said I'm retiring from Japanese baseball, retiring from the MPB. And secondly, if I wanted to come back, the right of first refusal was my original team. Right. So he remembered that. And you fast forward 3 years later in 95, and Nomo's having problems. What Nomo wanted was a multi-year contract, because the Japanese their native players are on 1-year deals. He's by far the best pitcher in all of Japan. And these guys coming from AAA and the major leagues are signing 2-3 year deals for a lot more money. He kind of told Kintetsu Buffaloes at the time, his team that he played for, I want a multi-year deal. They didn't do it. And Nomura said, well, if you retire, technically you can go to the MLB. And he did. It was like a brass balls deal to do that.
Yeah.
So he retired. They had the press conference. He's retiring and he's signing with the Dodgers. Obviously, William, you could talk a little after that. They changed the template of all Japanese contracts where players can't retire and jump to the major leagues, and that's how we got into the posting situation.
I like to look at it like post Nomo in '95. So I like to look at it from 98 to 2012, and I view it as kind of the sealed bid era, because MLB teams were submitting secret bids. Whoever gave the highest bid got the exclusive negotiating rights for 30 days. It was very nebulous. There wasn't a lot of transparency in the process, and it created a super imbalance within the system. For example, Daisuke with the Red Sox.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why I wore the hat today.
No, that's not why you wore the hat. You wore the hat because you're a Boston Red Sox fan, not because you're a Daisuke Matsuzaka fan. But we're going to allow it because
with the posting fee, that 51, I think it was north of $51 million.
51.
That was just the right to negotiate, and then him signing another. I believe it was a $50 million contract, and so the team being out $100 million right from the get go. That what kind of defined the sealed bid era in my mind. I've kind of created that name, but I don't know if anyone else does or not. But the NPB at that time, they needed to have a formal mechanism to put something in place, and this is what they had. And then from 2013 to now, the modern system I think is much better.
Yes.
The posting fees are tied to players' contracts. There's benefits for both the NPB club and the player at the moment. And the posting window is standardized. So November, December, by the time you get to Christmas, you pretty much know who's going where, and which I think is good.
Or not, if they don't sign. There's been players that haven't signed and gone back to their original teams. Talk a little bit about, so we can fast forward. Obviously, Nomo ushered in an incredible door opening. Obviously Ichiro, Matsui, Tanaka. The list is endless in the late 90s, early 2000s. And then you fast forward post 2013, like you're talking about, then you get the monsters that we have now. What is the posting system now? I know that it's, I was looking it up. It's percentages per millions of dollars in the contract.
Tiered up to the max is 20%. It's tied to the player's MLB contract. I don't know the particular.
I think it's 25 million. If the contract for the first 25 million is 20%, the contract value between 25 to 50 million is 17.5%, and then 15% exceeding $50 million. So now you have kind of like a quasi agent fee, or it's not really an agent fee. It's a transfer fee, if you will, that the teams get, because it's not an agent's fee where the player has to play it out of his own contract. It's the teams that would be willing to commit to that amount.
Yeah, it shows some similarities to what goes on in the Premier League or in general in Europe. I mean, there's some semblance of sameness with regards to that.
So any player that the Rays signed, they got to pay basically a 20% tax on the actual value of the contract.
Up to 25 million, and then it goes all the way down to 15 million if it's over 50 million. So there is a tax involved to this. So
I'm very intrigued. How do teams like the Dodgers get return on investment on these Japanese players in terms of getting revenue back into their own? Does that money go is there a specific television deal for the Dodgers and a network, or does it go to MLB? How do specific teams take advantage of making money off the Japanese players in the Japanese market?
Merchandise, sponsorships, ticket sales, Japanese people jumping on a plane coming to LA. I don't know the statistics, but I have heard through the grapevine that they've already recouped their money on the Ohtani contract. I'm sure they have.
Whoa. Already?
Yes, and that's a $700 million contract.
Yeah. Holy shizbang.
So that's what's coming in. And the Yankees made hundreds of millions on Matsui and Tanaka,
For a low revenue team like the Rays, why wouldn't they want to go all in?
That's a great question.
You can make such a return on investment.
I think there's a couple reasons. I think for one, they don't have the infrastructure in Japan or the infrastructure within their internal baseball operations or their marketing. Maybe not even baseball operations. It may be just marketing in general, because You know, the Dodgers, some of their marketing people, in fact, I believe Ohtani's current interpreter, not the dodgy one, the current,
not the
one. He's in prison. Yeah, he needs a new one.
Not the gambler.
He new one.
I believe he was in the marketing department.
Be careful, JP San.
JP San, be careful. Red flag, red card.
Red card. If you're talking soccer,
did I get a red card?
Well, yellow card.
Yellow.
For stating the obvious, I got the red card.
Yellow card. You be quiet over there, Gringo.
All right, sorry.
I believe that his current interpreter was working within the marketing department before Ohtani came. I believe he was there since Maida Kenta was there. So yeah, that's a while back. So yeah, they just have, the Dodgers have the infrastructure, and I think they have a clear strategy. And being on the West Coast helps, obviously.
Yes.
But on the East Coast, there's a lot to sell on the East Coast. I just think there's a lot of teams on the East Coast missing the opportunity. They just don't know what they don't know. And that's why people that's an
important point.
And myself are relatively successful in what we do. I think I think it's just the infrastructure, and it's the infrastructure in Japan. The Dodgers
and I'll add to this, especially because, again, the tricultural scenario that I've been fortunate to live, being Hispanic, there are a handful of teams that always seem to be long game thinking. Yeah. The Dodgers are definitely one of them.
Right.
You can go all the way back to Jackie Robinson, to be candid with you, and their long game thinking of of bringing up the first, Black African American player.
Yeah.
Then you go into how many Hispanic players, that they kind of really delved into Dominican Republic and created. They're one of the first teams to create academies over there.
Mexico.
Fernando.
Yeah. Tapped into that market.
The Yankees have always been very good about that. Believe it or not, the Toronto Blue Jays have been, especially when it comes to Dominican Republic.
Yeah.
Incredibly impactful. So they were creating 5, 10, 15-year programs to market other nations, right? Predominantly, let's be honest, it was the Hispanic, the Venezuela, Puerto Rico, obviously a Commonwealth, Dominican Republic, Cuba when it was open, but then closed, Mexico. Then you had these teams like the Dodgers that started thinking about Korea and Japan. Remember Chan-Ho Park?
Yeah.
So and he was a hell of a pitcher. So they went Korean. They went, San Francisco has done the same thing. So what I think, William, you're saying, even the smaller market teams can start long gaming themselves. And you have a team like the Rays that are on the precipice of 3 to 4 years from now having a brand new stadium. And then you want to attract not only the players, sure, that's great, but also the marketing side and the companies that, thereof.
And exactly. I mean, the city's got to get behind it too, right? The population, the citizens need to get behind it. For example, in Orlando now, we've got the direct flight to Tokyo. It's only an hour and a half to Tampa.
That's brand new. Talk a little bit about that for a quick minute. I mean, that's huge. That kind of went under the radar probably for a lot of, laypersons, but that's a massive thing. The state of Florida has never had a direct flight from Tokyo. Never.
Yeah, I know that.
You always have to connect. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, it seems to be a kind of a trial. That's the tickets are going to go on sale from December. I think it's Christmas Day or maybe the week before Christmas. And I think they're going to do 4 flights.
What airline?
It's Zip Air, which is JAL. Japan Airlines is LLC. They currently fly from Houston and LA at the moment. So this will be their third. We're doing a free plug for these guys, but
that's all right.
This will be their third hub here in the States. It's a trial. We'll see how it goes, but I think it's going to go amazingly well. I reckon it's probably a 15 and a half to 16-hour flight, which is a bit, I don't know if I wanted to do that. I would want to do that, but it's the start of something interesting. And then you've got the Bright Line here in Orlando that's, goes to Miami now. It's going to be going to Disney, then over to Tampa in a couple years. So it's definitely the long game. And Japan is very dear to Orlando and in Central Florida. There's a lot of stuff happening here that the Japanese love. There's a sister city that's in Chiba, which is a train ride away from Tokyo, very close. And so we're sister cities with that. And, Tampa's got its own sister city that I know Orestes has been doing a lot of work on.
Yes,
over the past year and a half. So it's not only creating that baseball infrastructure, but the ancillary things that go around baseball that are very important for the viability and financial sustainability of a program.
Let's be candid, and you know this as well or better than I do. Florida is not an Asian-centric state. As far as like having huge communities like San Francisco, LA, New York, Seattle, even Chicago. But nevertheless, business is business. And if you're be able to send thousands and thousands of people flying into Orlando, maybe, corral a player or two in the coming years, you could still attract the Japanese market and the companies to want to market. Why? It's MLB. There's only 30 teams right now in the world that are, that have that title. And Tampa happens to be one of them, Tampa Bay. So, not to get off, don't want to get off this topic because I think it's so important that I think the Rays look at the long term of how to do it. Now, how do you do it? And I'm going to throw a couple of options at you, and you tell me, William, if it's the right way. I think obviously you got to scout it, as far as for the player aspect of it, right? Send scouts, teams send scouts all the time. Not all teams are spending the money to do that regularly. Right. Second is more, ingratiating yourself with the MPB and meeting with them and meeting with the teams and, maybe holding, certain little league clinics and then meeting with the companies, meeting actually firsthand with companies and trying to introduce, your brand of MLB to them.
Well, there's another thing as well, and it's creating an ecosystem, a Japanese language Rays ecosystem. Something very easy and low cost, right? Very low hanging fruit. They could open up their own Japanese Ray X account. They could have a Japan language landing page on their main website. There's a lot of different things that they could do. I know there's even teams at the moment I know of one in the NFL and I know one in the NBA that are actually looking to actively hire someone in Japan to run sponsorship, community outreach, and things of that nature. Baseball operations and sponsorship and marketing is great, but the Japanese like it when it's in Japanese.
Right. Yeah. Well, that makes sense.
And the connectedness that you could do via
online,
right? Type stuff and marketing that way, social media and obviously AI can give you a lot of
Yeah, I think the Japanese are different from the French. If the French if you try to speak French, they'll speak English to you. But the Japanese, if you try to speak Japanese, they'll speak Japanese back to you, and they appreciate it a lot more that you're trying.
They sure do.
And I think
one of the reasons I think I've stayed, popular, not only because I did great things between the lines, but also I really tried and have continued to try to, acclimate myself to the culture and learn as much Japanese. Williams even, told me that with as many retired players that he deals with. And I think it's stuck over the years since I haven't played there in decades, but they still follow.
So I want to just underscore this, for Rays fans and bring it back. So what you're saying is the Dodgers have already recouped $700 million. Ohtani's contract. Is that what it was? 700 million?
10 years,
700 million. Yeah. They've already recouped that in marketing and business deals. I mean, so what you're telling me is so the Rays could get into this business and actually go after players like Ohtani or Imai, who's coming over, and get a return on investment.
Not like Ohtani, because I don't think they can afford that. But
there's a reason the Dodgers
the return on investment.
Right? Yeah, I see what you're saying.
There's a reason the Dodgers get these guys, the Cubs get these guys, and I don't know 100% know. I have a hunch. My spidey senses tell me that the scouts, the baseball people, they make great relationships with the high school where the players at, with the college, with the Japan team. They have those relationships where, for example, if like a high school coach of a guy and you've been following the guy his 3 years in high school, because in Japan, the high school is 3 years. It goes a long way. You build the relationship. You play the long game. There's so much more that happens before being posted that's so much important that, to be honest with you, the Americans haven't actually
tapped into that. Yeah,
they haven't tapped into that, and that's where you got to tap into.
Does the player choose the organization, or is it just whoever wins the bid?
Whoever wins the bid. The Japanese draft is very interesting. It's almost like picking. You stick your hand in a like a box, and you pull out a card that gives you the right to bid with the number one prospect.
Yeah, explain that a little bit to the layperson as far as an 18-year-old coming fresh out of
Oh, it's all done. I'm sure that, I don't know. I'm not involved in the process, but I'm sure it's all done, in the back. There's guys that get $1 million signing bonuses, but then sign a pro contract for like $50,000. There's some players that have had huge debt. Their parents have filed for bankruptcy. And so the team comes in and says, hey, we're going to pay off your dad's debt. We're going to make sure everything's all right. Why don't you come with us? And so they join that team. There's a lot of stuff that happens in the draft in Japan. I'm not privy, obviously.
I will tell you this, and I want your take on it, because it does seem okay. So they have a draft, and I put it in air quotes because it seems, William, over the years that I've been in and out of Japan, certain top players end up going to certain top teams, and it's
shenanigans.
It's not like here where like. The last place team is going to get the first, the first pick.
They don't do that.
It's a little different over there, right?
Yeah, it is, and I don't think the shenanigans happen as much as they were back in the past due to social media and everyone being interconnected.
Right. Good point.
Yeah, I'm sure President Kennedy, if we had social media now, there'd be a lot of stuff happening to that
guy. We've had pictures of the ladies going, Marilyn Monroe going in through the back door. Is that what you're saying?
Damn, yeah, William dropped the.
He would make other people like choir boys. But anyway, there's a lot of shenanigans. I'm sure that was happening back in the day, but probably
we didn't know about it. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because big boy teams were all, even the Lions, like, how did we get this guy? You know what I mean?
Interesting. Well, I just think in all that it's definitely something that this new ownership group will delve into. The old ownership group was never one to invest money and in a large way, obviously, and see what the return is.
Right.
They're always penny pinching. This group, I think, might take a much longer view at things since they're in it for the long haul. And there's already synergy within the area. Mitsubishi Finance, right?
MUFG is just, planted themselves here with their data center 2 years ago. I was at that grand opening.
Which actually is not far from one of the properties they're looking at building the new stadium.
Right around the corner, literally, from right around the corner. And
the whole investment team or the delegation or whoever, they should take a trip to Miami and go meet with the consulate general there. Just at the start, and make an introduction. Start creating those. Start creating rapport. Start creating those. Those bonds with the consulate general, and you see where it goes. That might be a great start.
Yeah, and I think the reason why this is so topical is because of these three Japanese players that just 100%. Dominated,
right?
And
others
of different levels too. Obviously, Shohei's the big money guy, but Sasaki, who they got, they're paying $850,000, right?
Yeah, because he's a different post. He's
explain that.
Yeah, and basically Sasaki didn't have enough years. You got to have 6 years? Is it? I believe, William. In the major league system over there, in the MPB system, in order to be posted for big boy contract, right? So it breaks down as this, you either have to have 6 seasons over there or 9 seasons to be a full-on free agent.
Right.
So if you're a full-on free agent, then you can sign with whomever you want to sign with.
No postings,
no posting, and no control to some degree. But he's different. He falls under the Shohei Ohtani scenario where they were great for 2 or 3, 4 seasons. They really wanted to go to the MLB, and the teams really kind of relented because they didn't have to.
That's right.
And they didn't get much money for that. You know what I mean? Very little, in fact, to allow these guys, these younger kids, to come over. So
that's kind of a new pipeline.
That's a different pipeline. That's a rare pipeline.
Right.
Because most Japanese teams aren't going to let their 22, 23-year-old guys leave. What you're talking about is more the 6 years and plus players that we're talking about now. Tetsuya Imai from the Cebu Lions. Phenomenal right-handed pitcher. I think he's a guy that could win 12 to 15 games in the major leagues. Regularly he's 27. Obviously, the big boy that everybody's talking about is Murakami from the Yakult Swallows, who was a Triple Crown winner. I definitely want Williams' takes on all three of these boys, and then Okamoto, which is I think a sleeper as far as a power hitting right-handed hitter. Both the hitters are first baseman, third baseman types, DH types, that type of thing. But your thoughts on these three big boys that are to come out?
Related to Sasaki before we get into
sure.
Him being if he had waited until he was 25 years old, he would have been able to sign a major league contract.
Correct.
But he was so eager to move, and he knew that he was going to be treated as an international amateur moving before 25, and that there'd be limits on the bonus pools that he could get, as well as earn far less. I think the team saw, he had always stated that he wanted to go, and so in Japanese culture, the sacrifice and short-term earnings. I mean, they made a lot off of Sasaki, so they respected that, and then they posted him. There's a lot more. It was very nebulous before in that era we were talking about earlier, but now there's a lot more. In Japanese we say hanashi-ai, talking it through and understanding between the two parties, the team and the player. And that's become a very interesting, and one of the reasons why Sasaki as well as Otani was able to make the move before others, at a different age, at an older age.
And I want to establish something. I mean, he went over there as a college kid, 30 years ago, and readily learned the Japanese language, not only speaking, writing, and reading, which is the hard. Yeah, you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Which is Williams, acumen.
It's the only good thing I do in life.
is he is a perfect Japanese speaker.
Wow.
And not just good.
And you learned that in college, after college?
During college, yeah. During college was over there, and talking to people and not being afraid to make mistakes, and realizing that my ear and my mouth and my hand all talk to each other. When you learn a foreign language, that's important. And so it's been great.
He married a Japanese Emily, his wife.
Really smart.
4 kids, and then started working in different marketing businesses. And then a few years ago created the JRFPA, which is an interesting concept. Basically, with me being involved with the MLB PAA as a board member, a co-chair on their MLAM, which is their major league marketing arm, so to speak. He came up with something back in 2021, to market the former players in Japan. And he created that organization.
Nice.
So it's been very interesting, and that's how we met, through that. And subsequently, we've done a myriad of cool deals and become great friends. So I think he's a brainiac when it comes to that. To the point, and just briefly talk about that MLB has noticed you in that sense, where the MLB Players Trust has come in and procured your services.
Yeah, it's been great. I do work with the Players Trust on their Japan programming. That, for anyone who doesn't know, the Players Trust is the nonprofit part of the MLB Players Association, and we have been doing a lot globally. But we've just started our Japan programming over the last year and a half, and we started. Our first program was in February of this year, before the opening series between the Dodgers and the Cubs, and where we had 60 kids from all over Japan participate in the STEM League game that we have. It's with our partner Learn Fresh, which they've created a really cool game. It's a board game based on baseball, but it's all backed by STEM education. So it's been really cool to watch the Japanese kids from different demographics, from different schools, different walks of life gather and communicate and create. It's teamwork, collaboration. They do everything from drafting players, signing contracts. It's like a 4-hour event, and we're doing it again in Tokyo on January 16th. And
I
then
hope to be there with you.
Yes, yes. And with the winner of that will be going to Miami to participate in the Global STEM League tournament. That will be will be prior to the WBC. So hopefully the Japanese are there. They tied the Koreans 2 days ago, and the Koreans look pretty good this time.
Well, wow.
Yeah, they've got a great guy.
So they just had some exhibition games against the Korean team?
Yeah, they had 2 exhibition games against the Koreans. And
that's early. They just recently?
Yeah, last 2 days. I think it was.
Wow, those guys are always ahead of the. So the U.S. exhibition games won't be until like February or like early March or something like that. I don't think
right before they play.
Yeah, I don't think they're playing any exhibition. They're playing some other teams. USA. The Japanese, the Koreans are already on playing.
Yeah, there you go.
They're playing again.
It's the long game, like you were saying. It's playing the long game, right?
No, they're phenomenal. Phenomenal. Yeah. I do want to ask you about that and the success of not just the Dodgers, players that they've had success with. I mean, going all the way back to Nomo.
The Red Sox, they've been quite.
Red Sox have done really well with Japanese players and won championships with Japanese players. Daisuke has got a championship. Uehara has got a championship.
Kazawa.
Okajima, right? Okajima was a sleeper if you think about it. This is a veteran lefty that the talk about, what we were just talking about, which is scouting and kind of playing the long game. Okajima was kind of like when he signed with the Red Sox, I was like, okay. And this guy ends up being a quality, lefty versus lefty and getting key outs all the way into their World Series. And Uehara, I'm not surprised because he was a stud in Japan and he was a stud here. But then you move into today's players, Imanaga, now a free agent, has been impactful. Seiya Suzuki it had a phenomenal year. If he stays healthy, he's an impact. Obviously, the greatest pitcher ever from Japan is going to be in the next year or two by wins, Yu Darvish, who's coming to the tail end of his career, but he's very few games away from passing Hideo Nomo record of wins. So you still have some stellar players that are playing right now from Japan, and the support is just immense back in Japan. 51 million watched the Game 7, and I'd probably say that half of them were from Japanese. 51 million watched Game 7.
Holy
worldwide.
It's worldwide. Wow.
Obviously,
how much of that was in Japan?
Canada. You had the U.S. market, which was excited, the Canadian market.
Do we know how many in Japan?
I don't know the breakdown. Do you
I believe the World Series was half the population
of Japan.
Watched one of the games in the World Series.
Holy shnikey. So that'd be
how many people is that? I don't know the
there's 125 million, 130 million. I would not be surprised. But I tell you, the market there is so vibrant. Not to take away from from Korea and some of these
half the country
was glued on to
60 million Japanese people watch.
You have to remember though,
World Series Game 7.
You have to remember though, there's the streaming business like it is in the US, where like you don't know what day of the week an NBA game is on anymore. On which channel is it? Amazon or Netflix or blah blah. Drives me absolutely crazy. The old TNT guys, Shaq and Kenny, they're on ESPN like only twice a month now, which totally sucks. But anyway, in Japan, streaming it's not as big. In fact, it's actually starting to, the Netflix won the WBC rights.
Correct.
And so they're going to be taking that, and so it won't be on, the main
Japanese television
Japan has. Yeah, and so like a lot of older people that don't know much about streaming or technology might be locked out of of watching the WBC. So that's actually it's been starting to be a bit of a problem, but they typically haven't had those huge streaming.
So you still have like 4 major channels in Japan, and one of them has the World Series on, and half the nation was watching it.
Yeah, NHK. Yeah,
NHK.
Whoa.
Yeah, the big.
No wonder they made their money back so quickly. I mean, that's an enormous audience.
They got that infrastructure. They've got their feelers on the ground. They've created that infrastructure, and that's what the Rays need to do. I think you don't need a Japanese player to get Japanese fans,
but it helps. It helps, but honestly, when you're thinking the long game, it's about how you market
your team
over there.
Yeah.
How you market your team over there and bring that back. So if NFL teams are trying to do it and NBA are trying to do it, very few Japanese players are playing, NFL football, if any, right? There might be
you talk about tapping into the Japanese tourist market, bringing them to Tampa for baseball, and of course, honestly, they want to go to Orlando.
That's one of the reasons that, LA, Frisco, Chicago, New York, have been successful, because not only do they have a lot of tourists going there from Japan, but there are neighborhoods, of tens of thousands and not hundreds of thousands. When you think of Seattle, hundreds of thousands of Japanese. You don't have that here, but you can still build the infrastructure. And I love his idea of really kind of marketing online, so the Japanese can do that. The MLB.com does have Spanish and I believe Japanese translation sites. But if the team itself did something to ingratiate yourself,
it'd be massive.
I do want to ask.
So let's talk about those players, and specifically, Rays fans have said we're never going to even be in the bidding for these guys. Are there any of these players that we can't attach the previous regime's fiscal penny pinching to this new regime? We don't know. I'm not saying they are, but if they were inclined to do this, isn't even possible that they would get in the bidding. No.
Are you asking me?
I'll ask both of you.
I'll give you mine.
I really don't think, given the numbers that I'm seeing, that and the infancy of the group and stuff at the moment, that they would go after. They probably wouldn't go after a Murakami or a Okamoto.
No need there. No.
Moved into the new stadium. I don't know about the pitcher. Imai, maybe Imai. I'm not entirely sure, but if there's out of the three, I think Imai might be the best, and I think he'd be great as they move into the next 3-4 years. He's got that attitude, that spunk. I like him. He's got the long hair. He wouldn't have to cut it. He's wild.
The dude is a star. He's already a star over there, but he's a star in the making here. Really good looking guy. Brash, a bit cocky actually, but in a good way.
I like it.
William and I were talking about it yesterday.
This team needs a little spice, a little personality. Somebody.
I'll tell you who he reminds me of.
Japanese. He's good.
I'll tell you who he reminds me of. And the only reason I think maybe the Rays wouldn't sign him is because they'll feel like they have that. It's Shane Baz. He's basically Shane Baz.
But he's got no personality. He's got long hair.
But he's kind of cocky.
Toast.
But Imai has better control than Shane Baz. Shane Baz kind of jumps around a little bit, but they both have the same, dramatic 3-pitch arsenal. Actually, Imai's got more than 3 pitches, but his main thing is a wicked slider. An explosive fastball that he pinpoints, and a good enough split. Imai would be juicy. The other two hitters, Okamoto is going to be the sleeper of the two big hitters, and I'm going to tell you why. Because Murakami comes with a lot of hype, and having hit the most home runs as a Japanese player in all time, 56 homers at 21 years old. He was a Triple Crown winner. Really, left-handed third baseman, first baseman, DH. So he comes with this hype. He's 26. I put Murakami comparable to Seiya Suzuki, who's a guy that can give you a lot of pop, has a lot of swing and miss too, because they kind of swing hard and they go for the fence. Okamoto is going to be the guy that's going to surprise you. And William, tell me if I'm wrong, and you've watched him probably more than I have, but I watched him a lot from the Tokyo Giants. He's more of a Hideki Matsui hitter from the right side. He's a guy that can give you 80, 90 consistently RBIs, has a better plate coverage and plate zone while still possibly hitting 20 to 30 homers. He can be an interesting addition to a middle of a lineup.
Yeah, he doesn't chase.
Yeah,
he's not a big lift guy. He's got good posture. Very efficient swing pass through the zone. I just like him. His demeanor is good.
Yeah,
and I think he'd be a great East Coast.
True.
Kind of reminds me. I don't know if I'm 100% accurate on this, but he kind of reminds me of a Vinny Castillo.
Yeah, a little bit of heyday of Vinny Castillo back in the day when he was really good.
Maybe 70.
I mean, honestly, he's not. And you're going to go like, wow, he's not that far from a Bregman as far as what he brings to the table. I think he's a guy that.
Yeah.
Huh?
Okamoto's a good defender.
He's a very good defender. He's a Gold Glove winner. So, and he's a better defender, honestly, than Murakami. So you can easily put him on first and third, and not. That's another reason the Rays don't need either of these two kids, because their first, third DH, they got that covered. They got first Aranda, they got the great Junior Caminero, and unless you move Yandy, you're not needing those set. Two. Okay. Now here's a sleeper, and William's gonna love this. Another guy from the Lions is actually being posted who drops 2 or 3 tiers. He was a stud 2 years ago, struggled last year, and was mediocre, but they are posting him. His name is Takahashi. Give me a little bit on Takahashi and what you think about him.
Yeah, I think Takahashi would be a great fit for the Rays.
Right.
He's a low-profile guy. He reminds me of he's kind of like he's a workhorse, but you won't. He doesn't have that star power. He's not going to sign a massive contract. He's worked his way up through the ranks. He's got good velocity on his pitch. He's got a changeup. He mixes in a slider everywhere once in a while, and he seems to be someone that I think personality-wise, having been in HR so long, not from a baseball perspective, but he seems like a guy. Just looking at him, I've never talked to him, but his demeanor, how he handles himself.
I have, and he's got a great demeanor. He's got that
like
powerful.
He just does his stuff, and he does it. He comes to work, he does his work, and he goes home.
I'll tell you what, one of the things that the Cebu Lions have done year in and year out, it's almost like the Rays centric almost, is that they have consistently developed confident pitchers that have talent. Right, so you think about the successful Rays pitchers. Daisuke Matsuzaka did his thing, right? Seiyu Kikiuchi, right?
The guy who
Kikuchi.
now.
Yeah. He's a former Cebu Lions, lefty standout pitcher. I would take a chance on any of these two boys coming from the Lions right now, because their pitching has been their talent. For in the 90s, it was us hitters. We had the best hitters in all of Japan. I mean, our lineup was ridiculous. And then all of a sudden, when you got into the 2010s and beyond, it's been pitching, and they've struggled with their hitting. But one of the reasons they brought me in last year was to try to help some of their younger AAA kids. And I think they have some kids that are going to be studs, but they're still a year or so away. One kid, Murata, that we may be talking about in 3 or 4 years, 5 years, when Murata comes out from the Cebu Lions. He's 6'5", 230-pound right-handed hitter. But I think that's a sleeper. Takahashi could be a sleeper that can fit for the Rays.
Either way, I'd love to see them get involved in this, and I think it would be something that the new group could really, embellish, and fans would really jump into it. It'd be kind of fun, especially if he's that kind of.
It's not like they couldn't price themselves into Imai.
What are we talking about?
Here's the problem with Imai. I'm going to tell you one name, and you're going to say, yeah, they're probably going to stay away from him. Scott Boras.
He's the agent.
Yeah. Scott Boras is the agent for Imai.
Well, it's a new group.
It's a new group.
Maybe they
got to eventually deal with the monster.
That's right. So maybe this will be
Excel, Casey Close. They represent Murakami, and then Okamoto has Scott Boras.
Who's done an excellent job in creating an infrastructure in Japan, by the way. That's
he has done. Talk about
I don't know much about it, but I know that he's.
No. I'm saying that a guy we've been talking about teams. Scott Boras saw this
guys on the
years
ground.
ago.
He's got scouts on the ground. He's got people on the ground that have built the relationships with the high schools.
He spent the money on
colleges. He's done a
marketing and
very good job.
Yeah, he's a brainiac, and he's got the money to spend.
I'd love to meet him if he's listening. He's done a great job. He was sitting next to me at the Dodgers in the suite there, or not the suite, the wherever the clubhouse. And I was going to say hi, but I didn't.
You should have. You should have told me.
I'm a bit nervous that way.
You should have told him me. He's a friend, and he would have. Anything about Japan, Scott Boras is not stupid. He knows that is a market to put your money in. So it's a great kind of microcosm of what a team should do.
Yeah.
So he put a few $1 million over the last few years in paying people to develop that market from the grassroots, from the high school, college level, and see who he could build up, either send over there or bring over here. He's done a great job.
Phenomenal stuff. Anything else you guys want to add about Japan?
He's fantastic, man. I can't say enough about William Brooks and the job that he's doing for himself and MLB Players Trust are us, the retired former players over there, and creating a lot of licensing and appearance deals. He just got me a sweetheart deal for one of my signage, thing of commemorating, my home runs in the Japan series. So he's a stud. And the only problem with him is just this one thing is his love of the Boston Red Sox and the Boston Celtics. Other than that,
well, listen, we get a couple of Japanese players in Rays uniforms. We'll change that hat really quick.
We'll get you to the Rays side.
I might get the hat with the Rays and the Red Sox. That dual hat.
Okay, we'll take that. We'll take whatever. Whatever it is. We need to get you two guys working with that new regime and see if I think it's a fertile market. I think it's something that the Rays could really. And again, it's a revenue stream. Yeah, it's a revenue stream with the size of this market and the tourism that you could certainly tie in.
New corporations,
new corporations, all that.
The
new stadium. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, William, hey, thanks so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. Don't be a stranger. We'll get you on a little bit later on when we get a little bit more action when these signings go down.
They're around the corner.
Right. Yeah, and hopefully one of them will be right.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
All right, buddy.
William Brooks there. Appreciate
it. He's fantastic, man. My nickname for him, by the way, is Nava. Do you remember the Daniel Nava, who was a player for the Rays?
Yeah.
Daniel Nava is a phenomenal story. This guy played I want to say ASU or AU, Arizona University of Arizona, one of the two, and his story was fantastic. So his first year, he didn't make the team, so he was the manager, the guy that brought the balls, the stuff, and and he worked himself into a position to be a starting player, crushed it. But since he was kind of not fast, didn't have a shitload of power, but just would hit like 350, 400, right?
Yeah.
Didn't get drafted, goes to play in the independent league baseball, crushes it there. The Red Sox take a chance on this guy, and the rest is history. He was part of, I want to say, the 2013 World Series. So, it was just this fighter. So I always say, man, you're like Daniel Nava, man. You're just a dude that keeps his head down, works hard, and makes it. And that's what he's done. He's been very successful.
All right, we got a couple of questions here before we get to our listeners. And by the way, if you're listening and watching, you want to jump in here and comment, ask Go a question. We love that. Love to interact. You can do that on YouTube. Yeah, you can go to FanStream Sports Tampa and look it up. Just Google the O Show, and you should find that as well. You can do it on Twitter at the JP Peterson Show and on Facebook at JP Peterson. So check all that out, and you can get involved and send us some comments. And we want to say thank you to the Texas Roadhouse, Wesley Chapel, where you watched the Game 7 of the World Series with 60 million of your Japanese friends. We just found out. Holy shizbang.
They don't
great
play.
place.
They
great
don't
place,
play.
right?
Oh,
not for sushi.
Yeah, not for sushi. No, I mean, I guess if you ask for it, they'll probably create it. Maybe some raw steak, but their steaks are phenomenal. They're one of a kind because they have their own butcher there, so it cuts it fresh every day. It's a comfort food at a comfortable price. Just ask for Tyler Hamilton, the owner there, and that's the other thing about them. It's not only great food, great price, great service. Everybody that I talk to that visits that place, or when I'm there, it's just a happy, exciting ambiance. We're very proud to have him on our Big O Show.
Appreciate that. Yeah, when he's got lots of employees that have been there a long time.
A lot.
When you have that,
10, 15 years.
That says a lot about the restaurant right there. Yeah. So go check it out. Texas Roadhouse, Wesley Chapel, right there off across from the outlet mall. Is that 54?
That's 52.
Get them confused. 52, not 54. 52.
No, 56. Excuse me.
Oh, it's 56.
Highway 56. Yeah, my bad.
Pasco's growing crazy out there. And Kingmakers Tampa, it's a private club. We are coming to you live from the production facility. That can be part of your deal here. If you become a member at kingmakerstampa.com, go to the website, find out all the information. It's a shared office situation here. We got private offices, shared office space. We got a conference room, and then a golf simulator as well, and a sports bar. Really cool place. And so you can check it out, kingmakerstampa.com. And Genesis of Tampa.
Yes, sir. Got to
go over to Genesis of Tampa. They did a great job with hurricane relief for the folks down in Jamaica, partnering with Gray Bull Rescue. So it's a great local company here, the Murphy Auto Group, and we appreciate all of them and the partnership we have with them. But if you're looking for a new car, maybe for Christmas for your wife or something, go check out the GV80, the GV70. Beautiful, beautiful SUVs, cars, lease deals that are incredible. Good time to buy a new car. So check it out at genesisoftampa.com. All right. You want to hit some questions here?
Yeah, by all means.
Michael LaRue. Good afternoon to you.
Michael.
Says Eric Neander says the Rays' biggest offseason focus is getting the outfield right.
Sure.
Could we see a whole new outfield next year? Who are the possible targets?
Listen, obviously, O'Hearn has been talked about a lot. He got moved from Baltimore to San Diego. He's a guy that, I think he hit 17 home runs this year, 260, 270 hitter. I like him as a free agent. He should be a mid-range kind of guy. He's not going to be like, a Kyle Tucker or Bo Bichette numbers and stuff like that. Or Schwarber for that matter, who's going to probably, be the leader of the big monster contract. Well, him and Kyle. But here's a couple that I was looking just the other day, and I got to find it real quick. But did you know that possibly the
it's not going to be Jake Fraley?
No,
they just signed. That I don't know if that's, but they haven't offered him an arbitration.
Jake Fraley's not going to be your starting stud outfielder. He's a guy that can fill in. Yeah, you know what I mean.
I saw some people saying, "Oh, that's the move we're going to make."
That's not the move. That's not the. That was an early season move. Yeah, there was a couple of early stove, hot stove season moves that needed to be made, and to protect yourself when you're a smaller market team and aren't going to be spending the $200-300 million and stuff that you have to do. Number one, hey, make sure that you have enough outfielders to field out there as you're trying to, matriculate and figure out.
Have some depth pieces.
So you got the depth pieces. The other early hot stove season move was to not bring back Fairbanks. Well, what that did is that it created $10 million in flexibility. So that's hopefully going to be spent on a catcher, an outfielder, maybe a veteran starting pitcher. But here's a couple of guys that could be interesting, and I think that you're going to possibly see this be very, very interesting. And that is Joe Adell and Ward from the Angels are being talked about to be traded. And they're both. One is an older in Ward. The other one in Joe Adell is younger. That one would be a little tougher. It would cost a lot more pieces. But Joe Adell just went out and hammered like 36 home runs. And he is a force, and he's still, controllable in through arbitration years. Ward is on the precipice of becoming a free agent. So I think he's going into his 6th year. So trading for him could be a tricky, slippery slope because you may only have him for a year and then not be able to re-sign him. So I don't think Ward would be looked at. But if they can do a deal for Joe Adell, I'm telling you, that would be a monster scenario. And
6'2", 215, former first rounder, 10th overall in the 2017 Major League Amateur Draft. Last year, a 1.2 WAR, 37 home runs.
90 something RBIs.
98 RBIs.
Right. Big strikeout guy, but big power guy.
Yeah.
And that's what we're looking for. We're not necessarily looking for the strikeouts, but we're definitely looking for a fear factor bat from the right side. And that's what Joe Adell is about. So I would venture to think that there's been some talks. Now, the Angels are going to want a lot for that kid, but there's enough depth in outfielders, you know, that the Rays have, in young stud pitchers maybe that are, you know, on the precipice, or maybe even, you know, some of the guys that they've already used this year, especially the bullpen arms, that they may be willing to package together. But that's one for me.
What do you think about Harrison Bader?
Harrison Bader is an iffy player.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, he lives here.
I don't know.
I think he lives here.
He opted out.
I've seen him around.
Yeah.
He comes to Lightning games.
Yeah, good guy. Seems to be a great teammate everywhere he's been. He's very talked about because he's kind of like a Kike Hernandez, you know, a guy that's very versatile in the outfield, exceptional outfielder.
7th best among qualified outfielders with 13 defensive runs saved.
Extremely talented in the outfield.
Batted 277. I'll give you the numbers here real quick. 347 on base, 449 with a 122 WRC plus.
Nice player.
Career high was 17 homers.
Yeah.
Upping his hard hit rate to 40.3%. However, there are questions as to whether Bader's performance is sustainable, given that he batted 359 on balls in play, which is far above the league average of 291.
Right.
So
and he's probably about 30.
Projected 2-year, $26 million deal.
So
that fits.
It does fit. Again, he's in like that O'Hearn kind of level. That's where I see O'Hearn being like a 2-year, $24 million, $20 million.
Interesting.
He turned down the last year of a 10-year deal, $10 million contract with the Phillies. The Phillies really want him back.
He's 31.
Yeah, I was going to say
31.
The Phillies really want him back. I'd rather have Joe Adell and go ahead and make some, you know, do a trade and give up a 2 or 3 studs for that bat. That's an imposing bat.
How about a trade where you trade? I don't know where the Angels
you're
are
not committing, and you're not committing $20-something million.
Do they have a second baseman?
Who does?
The Angels. I'm trying to think.
Oh no, the Angels could look at
if we trade Brandon Lau.
Man, that's an interesting
move. Chandler Simpson to second.
Yeah, because remember,
you're replacing the home runs.
Yeah.
The younger player,
and you're not. The reason Adele makes a lot of sense is because he's still affordable. You know, he's basically going to be arbitration eligible, so it's a several low $1 million compared to, you know, 12, 10, 12 for O'Hearn, 10, 12 for Bader a year.
Yeah.
And I don't think, I mean, he's, I'm going to tell you right now, Joe Adell will hit more home runs in 2026 than Bader and O'Hearn combined.
Yeah.
And will probably drive in close to what they would drive in combined.
I'm not mistaken. He hit a bomb at Steinbrenner, didn't he?
He is on the precipice.
He may have hit a couple.
You put him and Caminero behind each other now, and how old is he? I want to say he's 25.
Adele?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's 26 years old.
26. I mean, now
he started young. He's 21 years old. He played his first major league season.
He's arbitration eligible, so he's not, you know, he's going to get 4, 5, 6 million this year, and then you make a decision whether you're going to keep him or not. You know, Ward is different. Ward hit 30-something home runs, exceptional outfielder himself, but he's coming up on free agent year, so.
It's 2026 second year ARB eligible, so you got 2 years of control with Joe Adell.
Yeah, I mean that's the guy.
Yeah,
I would give up something for him. I would give up something for Joe Adell.
I think we just made that deal.
Telling you right now, I know that they're looking at it now. Does it make sense for them as to what the Angels are going to want? In fact, take a look at the Angels roster and see where are they. I can't remember them having a second baseman that's powerful.
No, it's not powerful. He's like a smaller guy, if I'm not mistaken. As we do our research,
it is that the Angels have been such a disappointment that you know, and they just brought in Kurt Suzuki, obviously, but they've been such a disappointment that it's a team that
It's so poorly run that
it
you
really
take
has.
advantage of them.
And wow. But, so it's showing Christian Moore at second base.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, they mismanage third base with the most disappointing contract arguably in the world of sports, and Anthony Rendon, who just doesn't even care to play after he signed a $250 million contract. That
did not age well.
Terrible.
Michael Luru also says Glass now, Blake Snell, Charlie Morton pitched for the Rays in the 2020 World Series, but the Rays still gave them all away. All three have won World Series with the Braves and Dodgers. Thanks for that, Michael, reminding us of that. Appreciate that. But you ain't wrong.
It's a different organization now, bro.
Yeah.
We're hoping that those type of deals are not going to happen, and maybe people are thinking, well, Pete Fairbanks, it's not Tyler Glass now, and it's not Blake Snell. Those were giveaways that were due to, not wanting to pay the big bucks to a frontline Cy Young type pitcher. That's not what Pete Fairbanks is.
No. And and those
you can replace Pete Fairbanks. They did not replace, Tyler.
So when do you expect this to really heat up for the Rays?
Well, I mean, the winter meetings, they
coming up. Yeah, that's
the winter meetings
December 6th and 7th, I believe. Coming up.
I think there won't be any major moves until then. I think the Rays will make some moves then. I think you'll see some trades, happen in that week-long winter meetings or 4 or 5 days.
We got to get over there.
Yeah. Oh, we're going to get over there. It's in Old Town. Well, maybe we'll bring our boy William Brooks over if he's in town. He's in and out a lot, but
let's go grab some sushi with the new owners.
He'll know where to go.
Ken, Babby, Joe, Patrick. If you're in Orlando, you want to do a little sushi with my Japanese crew and JP Song? JP Song? Give them an invitation in Japanese to the new owners to come meet us for sushi in
Costco-san to Babby-san. 本当にありがとうございますね。新しい team owner です。素晴らしい。And Patrick Zalupski-san. はい。おめでとうございます。まだまだ一緒に食事ですよ。食事。Let's go eat and 喋る日本語 potential. はい。ありがとうございます。
The translation will be right at the bottom there for all of you. That's fantastic.
Congratulations on, acquiring the new team. Let's go eat together and talk a little bit of Japan and all things Rays.
And my greeting them will be wasabi. Wasabi.
There's a lot.
All right. Well, that's fun, bro.
Man, that was fun. Japan is real, and they showed with this World Series that they're here to stay.
Yeah, that is. I mean, you cannot ignore it anymore. I think it's a tremendous financial opportunity for the Rays and this new group to dig into with new sponsorship deals and creating tourism channels and all kinds of stuff.
How about the flight direct to Orlando?
Right,
that's huge.
Yeah. What was the name of that air? What was the name of that?
Zip Air, I think it is.
Zip Air.
Zip, yeah. It's a kind of an offshoot of the grandiose Japan Airlines, JAL.
Get us a couple first class seats and we'll head on over for 15 hours.
And listen, you know how many times I've flown Japan? Hundreds. And I always hated the layover. So you get me a good seat.
Couple Ambien, and we good.
And a couple of good movies, and I'm out.
All right, great stuff as always. Thanks to the Texas Roadhouse, Wesley Chapel, Kingmakers, Tampa.com, the Murphy Auto Group, Genesis of Tampa. Thank you very much. We will be back on Friday with more of the Big O Show.
Stay tranquil and tropical.